Good morning and thanks so much for joining in. You're watching Ask Profit on NDTV Profit. My name is Mathew and with me is Smriti, Chaudhary. We'll take you through the next half an hour or so of trade. Let's take a look at where the benchmarks are right now. In fact, the Nifty 50 trading with gains of about 0.5% or so, and the broader market's not doing 2% or so, and the broader market's not doing too much at this juncture. In fact, for the benchmark, we're trading at close to the high point of the day, and this is more or less along the lines of what we're seeing across the board in risk assets in Asia, and this is after the strong handover at the end of last week from the US markets. Let's see if that continues. However, what you saw on the screen right now is the Nifty Bank, and that really is the sectoral index that is outperforming in trade today. We'll come to why that is. Among the others that are doing well, you also see oil and gas as a pack that is doing quite well. And you see the PSU banking pack that's gaining about 0.6%. Among the losers, you have realty that is underperforming today, down about 1.4%, and IT, which is not doing too much. Let's take a look at the key contributors to the gains on the Nifty 50 then. And you have ICICI Bank right on top of the screen that is doing particularly well in trade today, and HDFC Bank also contributing to some of the gains. Reliance Industries doing quite well. So the gains, you can say, are being led by the heavyweights on the benchmark index. HCL Tech, on the other end of the spectrum, is doing particularly badly today, and this is on the back of the results that were reported on Friday post-market hours, and you saw a contraction in the margins, and as a result of which you saw a decline in the net profit number as well. Now, there is one particular stock from the broader markets that is doing not too well, and this is on the back of a significant update. I'm talking about BSE, which is down in trade today, and in fact is losing considerable amount of ground, down about 12.7%, and off the low point of the day, which was close to 18% lower. And there is a significant update because there was a note that was sent by SEBI that talked about dues from a regulatory standpoint, regulatory fees that will have to be paid out. Mika is joining in to tell you what that's all about. Mika, what can you tell us?
Yes, so the SEBI has directed the BSE to pay the regulatory fee on the annual turnover while taking into consideration of the notional value of an options contract, and a notional value is the total value of the underlying asset the option contract is based on. Now BSE will have to pay the differential amount of fees plus a 15% interest per annum, and earlier what the company used to do, that they used to pay the regulatory fee taking into account the premium value, which is the price you pay to buy an options contract. So now if while the company is kind of taking into consideration what the kind of financial impact will be, if ascertained for the periods between FY 7 to 23, approx 68.64 crores plus GST will be liable by BSE to SEBI, and for FY 24 the total amount payable would be 96.3 crores, which brings the total liability to 165 crores. Post this, we also had some brokerage downgrades, where Jefferies downgraded BSE rating from a hold from a buy to a hold, price target of 2,900, which implied a 10% downside. What it said that since derivatives make up 40% of their 25 and 26 profit after tax estimates, they see a overall 15 to 18% EPS hit. We also had IFL, which did maintain a buy rating, but it cut its target price to 2,550 rupees, offering a 20% downside. And they said that the only one way that they could kind of offset the one-time and the recurring expenses would be price hikes.
Thanks a lot, Mihika, for that. On that note, let me introduce you to the guests for today. We have Rajesh Palvia of Axis Securities and Gaurang Shah of Jury Financial Services joining in on the show today. Welcome to both of you, and thanks for taking the time out. Gaurang, I'm going to come to you first on BSE. It's been a multi-bagger. In fact, I think that's the only stock we've seen the biggest gains in the last 1 year. But after this regulatory action, would you suggest, we've seen brokerages turn a little negative on this, would you still suggest buying at these lower levels?
Good morning to all of you, and thank you for having me on this show. So, I've always maintained one thing. And this is not a comment specifically towards the BSE because of the regulatory issue that has come up this morning. But, if one believes that the Indian equity market and the Indian commodity market is going to prosper for the next 3-5 years and maybe more, then all those entities which are associated with the Indian equity market and with Indian commodity markets, whether it is going to be a platform provider or a service provider or a depository provider, all those companies are going to do relatively well. In the intermediate, some regularity actions like we have witnessed today on SEBI, on BSE, may lead to short to medium term concerns given the kind of news flow and the uncertainty that lies ahead of us. But if you purely look at the stock of BSE over the last year and a half, too, you can possibly imagine the kind of return that this stock has made. Short term, on basis of news flow, there can be negative reactions, and it may take a while to understand the implications of that on the business. But I will just leave with one statement that if you truly believe on the India's growth story and equity and commodity market, then you should definitely look at strong names. Either they would be service provider, platform provider, or maybe a depository service. I won't go specific, Smriti, because we don't have coverage on the BSE.
Okay, fair point. Why don't we also get a view from Rajesh on how the charts are looking for BSE? Of course, what we're seeing today is a knee-jerk reaction, if you can call it that. There are downgrades as well. But any triggers that you can see from the price action, Rajesh?
Morning to everyone. But if you analyze the overall structure, it's in bullish territory only. Yes, there is some price correction. So near-term setup has turned slightly bearish as the stock now slipped below to 20-day moving average. So till the stock not again, recover about 29 or 40, 29.50 kind of level, it may remain under pressure. On the downside, 2600, 2500 are the next major support area on the downside. So those who wants to buy and accumulate for a longer term perspective, they can wait for furthermore downtick towards 2600 to 2500. That's again attractive level on the longer term time frame. If you get opportunity to buy around those levels, that will again reward you going forward. So our view is to wait for some time, let some correction to come around 2600. Then one can start buying this stock, as overall structure on the long term perspective is on the bullish side only.
All right. Let's start off with the queries now. The first one is from Vaishnavi from Chennai, and they're talking about the counter Kirloskar Pneumatic. They bought the shares at a price of 754. If you can pull up the chart and see, it's crossed over 1,000 rupees. Rajesh, do you have any targets on this specific counter?
So overall structure for the stock is on the bullish side, and if we analyze the overall structure for near term to short term, yes, we do have a bullish view on the stock. Looking at the near term structure, till stock is now holding above 970, 960 zone, trend is likely to remain on the bullish side for near term perspective also. If she's holding for long term perspective, she can remain invested. A longer term target we can see towards 1200 to 1300 also. So series of high top, higher bottom formation is there. Trail stop loss now towards 960, hold your position.
Okay. Another buy or not kind of a question, and this one's on Epigral Limited, Rajesh. It's currently trading at 1,295, and I'm looking at the year-to-date performance 2024, and it is up as much as 32%. So quite a lot of interest, buying interest in this particular counter. Would you suggest a fresh entry though? This is a question from Chidanand.
See, stock is making a rounding bottom sort of formation on daily as well as on the weekly chart. There is a breakout of long consolidation on weekly as well as on the daily time frame. So that clearly shows that the correction is over for the stock, and now stock is ready for up move from here onward. So if he wants to buy for positional perspective, yes, he can buy and accumulate the stock. On the downside, 1200 is the important support area where he can place the stop loss to buy and accumulate the stock. Once the stock manages to cross about 1350, 1400 kind of zone, then possible upside on a positional perspective, we could see towards 1650 to 1700 also. So our advice would be to buy and accumulate, keep your stop loss at 1200.
Got it. Let's talk about another counter, which is Infibeam. Now, this one's from P. Shivananda from Karnataka, and they bought the shares at a price of 37 rupees. It's below that price. Gaurang, do you have coverage on this counter?
See, honestly speaking, I think one should be very, very careful while making stock selection. Given the fact that you had news flows which were absolutely negative and worrying on the counter, and we don't find much credibility on the fundamental side to cover these stocks. I would only say that be extremely careful when you get into such kind of things.
This is a counter that I'm pretty sure that a lot of people don't have coverage on right now. This is Reliance Power. Nagendra from Mumbai has got an acquisition that he's made at levels of 10 rupees 43 paise, and he's making some money. He bought at levels at those lower levels on the 4th of, or rather a while back, and he's wondering whether to hold. The concern that he has, Rajesh, is that there will be volatility likely in the month of June, and he wants to avoid some of that. Should he take some money off the table?
So Alex, we don't cover this stock actively, but looking at the technical structure, yes, there is some recoveries taking place in the stock prices. I think my advice would be to keep strict stop loss at around 25 rupees. That's the important level for the Reliance Power at this juncture. If it breaks below 25, then yes, there could be more supply pressure on the downside we can see. So I think trail your stop loss at 25. On the higher side, 30, 31 is the immediate hurdle. If it crosses, then we can see further higher level from here onward. But at this moment, 25 should be kept as a stop loss, strict stop loss to hold the position.
All right. The next counter we're talking about is Exide Industries. This is from Nandi from Kolkata. Now, they bought the shares at a price of 472, so slightly higher than where it is currently trading at. But Gaurang, we've seen a massive upside in this stock in the last couple of weeks itself. Do you feel the stock is now overvalued, or do you feel there's more steam left in the stock?
So purely, we have coverage on Exide Industries, Smriti, and the uptick that we saw on this particular counter was just around that time when they announced a tie-up with Hyundai Motors and Kia for developing an EV battery for their EV vehicles. That's point number one. Point number two, battery is a life which goes in under the bonnet for both ICE engines as well as CNG-driven engines as well as electric vehicles. The price at where the stock is trading has overshoot our target price. For those who have got invested at lower levels, we would continue to maintain possibly hold on the counter. Dips can be used to buy at lower levels, but I think on fallback of the news flow, the stock has rallied. So wait for a cool off for any kind of fresh entry. But if you're holding the stock at lower level, continue to hold.
All right. The next question is from Raghuram. He's writing in from Bhubaneswar. And three counters, Rajesh. He's talking about Devyani as well as Tata Power, and he's talking about GMR as well. He's gotten into all three of them, but I would actually encourage you to take one, or at least at the very most two of them, and give him advice on them. He's got Devyani at levels of 165, Tata Power at 425, and GMR at 85. Which of these should he hold on to for the short term?
So I think Tata Power and GMR Airport, he can hold on. Both stock are looking promising. The way Tata Power is moving on a daily as well as on the weekly chart, stock is moving in upsloping channel. That clearly shows that there is a sustained buying action is taking place in the stock. Now stock is trading near to its all-time high trajectory. So we expect Tata Power can continue its rally towards 470 to 485 on the higher side in a positional perspective. So Tata Power is hold with stop loss of 432. And the GMR Airport, again, now stock is approaching to its immediate supply area of 92, 93. Once stock manages to cross over 93, there could be a possible rally towards 105 to 110 for GMR Airport. So GMR Airport is also buy. He can just place a stop loss near to his buy price. 84 should be your stop loss to hold your position.
All right. The next counter we're talking about is IDFC Bank, and this one's from Geeta from Mumbai. Now, the stock is down today about 2% right now, 4% right now, and this comes after its fourth quarter numbers. Gaurang, would you suggest buying at these levels?
We're talking about IDFC First Bank, right?
Yes.
So, Smriti, we do have a positive coverage on IDFC First Bank. And we believe that the improvement in numbers is a growth story that is going to reflect upon not only this financial year, but also for the coming financial year. There has been a consistent downtake in terms of net and gross NPAs, and provisioning has also come down. Interest rates are steady in our country for the seventh consecutive time. Possibly, if the crude oil doesn't play a spoilsport and there is no aggressive uptick on the inflation front because of the climate issues, we could see possibly rate cuts coming in second half of this calendar year. From a long-term point of view, we have a hold on IDFC First Bank. Dips closer to 80 or below 80 could be used as buying opportunity.
All right, that's a view on IDFC First Bank. Of course, it's a view for 5 years that was sought. And that's the level that Gaurang has said you can use to accumulate. Gaurang, Rajesh, we have to slip into a quick break. Viewers, we'll be back on the other side to take more of your questions, so do stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Ask Profit. Let's dive into the queries again. This one's from Mahalakshmi from Hyderabad. They're talking about two counters here, JBM Auto and Electra Green Tech. They've bought both of them, JBM Auto at 1,974 levels and Electra Green Tech at about 1,700 levels. Now they say they want to accumulate one of the counters. Gaurang, out of these two auto counters, which one would you suggest accumulating?
Well, so we have coverage on Electra Green Tech, Smriti, on the fundamental side. And this is one company that has performed very well over the last 1 year, if you actually go to see. And that's purely because of the kind of orders that this company has got, not only from the state transport utility, but also from private players. And they have invested quite a huge amount in the R&D facility to improvise on their already existing electric buses, which we very often see on the roads. So if you want to collect one name from the two, then I would suggest Electra Green Tech. since we have a fundamental coverage over there.
Yeah, and it's had quite the run over the last 12 months or so. What a rally in the stock. Let's talk about the next counter, which is Tejas Networks. And this is a question coming in from Prosenjit Ghosh. He's writing from Howrah. And he's asking whether this current price is a good accumulation zone. The stock is up and about in trade today as well, I should say. In the recent past, it's been buzzing. Rajesh, on the charts, is this a good time to accumulate?
So Alex, very strong breakout in previous week, and again, follow-up buying action is taking place in the stock. Looking at the overall structure, yes, he can buy and accumulate the stock. If he get any chance to buy the stock in decline towards 1080, 1060 kind of zone, that's the again important level for near-term perspective. So I think buy on dip should be your strategy. Accumulate the stock. We expect that this momentum can extend further. Possible upside target 1200 to 1240 we can see on a positional basis. Your stop loss should be placed at around 1040 to buy and accumulate.
All right. The next counter is UPL. This one's from Karthik from Bangalore. They've already bought the shares at 565 a piece. If you can pull up UPL and see how's the counter. Okay, it's mostly flattish, a little in the negative territory and trading at 507 rupees. But Gaurang, coming to you on this, third quarter numbers not great, but brokerages continue to be a little mixed on this. What's your view?
Yeah, it's been a downward, honestly, Smriti, in terms of earnings. And that not only was third quarter bad, I think if my memory serves me right, second quarter was equally bad. Let's hope there is a better story for the management to tell us in terms of numbers for the fourth quarter. And chemical sector overall, if you go to see, has been an underperformer over the last year and a half, purely because of the headwinds and, of course, constraints. But the latest exports data by most of the specialty and agrochemical companies have shown a good growth upwards. We are maintaining a hold on United Phosphorus in case if you've gotten from a long-term point of view, and targets could be somewhere close to about 640. Mind you, these targets would get revisited on the earnings, depending upon which way the earnings go.
Point. All right, we've got a viewer, Gangadhar, who's tuning in from Mangalore, and he's asking about Adani Ports, which he's bought at levels of 1,415. He's asking whether he should wait and hold on with the prospects of recovering his buy price and gaining some ground, or should he exit? He's got a time frame of about 6 months. Rajesh, on the charts, how does it look?
So I think he should hold the position as the stock is still holding the ground on the higher side, and on the weekly chart, stock is moving in upsloping channel. Now stock is almost approaching to its upsloping trend line on a weekly chart. Looking at a longer term time frame, yes, stock is in bullish trajectory. Yes, there is some consolidation is taking place in most of the Adani Group stock at this juncture. We believe once Adani Port manages to cross about 1340, 1360 kind of zone, then yes, this rally can extend, and that's yes, stock may approach to reach to his buy price also. So overall, long-term structure is bullish. He can wait for 6 months. Keep your stop loss now at around 1280. If it's not breaks below 1280, there is a high possibility again stock will attempt to cross its all-time high trajectory on a positional perspective.
All right. You are watching NDTV Profit, and this is part of the NDTV Group. And just a quick reminder, this is owned by the Adani Group. Standard disclosure.
All right. Next counter is Ashok Leland. This one's from John from Bangalore. Rajesh, I'm going to come to you on this counter. Now, they say they've already bought the stock at 169 levels. It's slightly above that. But would you suggest accumulating now that there's some bit of positive sentiment playing into this stock in the last couple of months?
Definitely. So rollover action was also promising for the stock, and looking at the technical structure, yes, we do have bullish view on the stock, and we believe that for the May series, yes, there could be some upward momentum for Ashok Leland, and possible upside target we can see towards 200 to 210 kind of level. So he can hold on the position. We suggest here to keep your stop loss at around 178 to hold your long position.
Okay. KFin Tech, Gaurang, is the next counter that we're looking at, and we've got a viewer, Pramod, who's writing in from Thrissur in Kerala. He's bought at levels of 340 and the stock is currently trading very close to that 700 mark. He's asking whether to hold on. He's got a time frame of the next 3 to 5 years, so quite a long time frame. He's asking whether to hold, and if you were suggesting to sell, then which counter would you suggest getting into instead?
Well, so Alex, no specific coverage over here, so won't say buy, sell and hold. But in case if the investor wants to take an alternative investment idea, not that this company is doing bad or the numbers are not going to be encouraging going forward from here on, but purely in terms of shift to another sector on the technology platform, IT that is, I would advise KPIT Tech. This is a mid-stroke small cap IT company with a very promising future.
The next counter is India Bulls Real Estate. This one's from Vino from Chennai. They say they've bought the shares. We don't know the buy price exactly, but they say there's a bit of profit there. However, Gaurang, earnings not so great. And the question that they're asking is, should they continue holding it from a longer term perspective, or should they swap it for another realty stock?
Honestly, if my memory serves me right, Smriti, we had coverage on this particular company, but we've dropped it because of the news flow and weakening fundamentals. So currently, we don't have coverage on India Bulls Real Estate, but there are reasonably strong names in the real estate pack. If you have to just decide to look at other names in the real estate pack, one name that I can suggest over here currently on which we have a buy coverage is a south-based Karnataka, Bangalore headquarter established company called Prestige Estates. This company looks very promising.
All right. Federal Bank is the last counter that we'll look at. We've got Hetav, who's writing in from Ahmedabad. He's bought at levels of 136. He's looking for advice as to what to do with this. Rajesh, what's the view on the charts?
So on a technical structure, stock is now approaching to its multiple resistance area, which is placed at around 160 kind of zone. Looking at the near-term, short-term structure, we do have a bullish view at this moment for Federal Bank. We expect that once the stock manages to cross over 160-61 zone, then possible rally can extend towards 175 also. So he can hold on the position. Keep your stop loss now at around 153. We are expecting target towards 170 to 175.
All right. That's all the time we have today on this edition of Ask Profit. Thank you so much, Rajesh and Gaurang, for joining us today. And viewers, hope you were able to take your queries today, but if not, we'll come back and take more queries tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. We have lots more lined up for you on NDTV Profit.